Oh, man, it's kind of been a while since I've done this kind of thing. Um, yeah, talking unscripted, doing this whole, you know, contemplation thing that I had a second channel for. It's kind of weird, but for whatever reason, I haven't really felt much desire to make videos on my second channel. I don't know, maybe it's because I've found people that sort of talk about these types of subjects that I'm interested in with that I don't really feel the need to express them in the format of like an unscripted ramble. But yeah, it's just not been something that's really on my mind as of late, especially because I am more aware of how much time I spend on things than ever, and like just the idea of spending an hour recording, a podcast. Like I always think about, oh, I could have spent that hour drawing or writing a script or editing a video or working on a song or doing something that I feel like in the end would turn out to be a more valuable product, at least in my opinion. But I do want to talk just for a little bit about Anitube and sort of my place in it and where I am right now. I feel like it's been a while since I've rambled about where I'm at and where I'm going, and that's fun to talk about, at least for me. So I was looking at my channel not that long ago. I think it was a couple weeks ago, and I noticed that I had only just recently passed I don't know why I said 5 years of Anitube. That's right, I've been making anime related videos on YouTube for over 5 years now. Started off doing some AMVs, and then I moved into reviews. And I don't know if this will be interesting to anybody, but I just kind of want to trace like how I got into it and like sort of what caused me to develop in the way that I did. So like originally I had been doing, when I first made my channel back I think in 2013, my very first YouTube channel, which is this main one that I upload anime content to now. There's a lot of unlisted videos from before the anime ones. I started making a mix of, I was doing like animated animations, like stop motion animation and regular 2D animations. And I was also doing Minecraft videos, like just general Let's Play type stuff, a few. And then later, as I was sort of building this channel, and I decided I wanted to make a channel specifically for gaming, and so I made a second channel which has all its videos unlisted, but that channel was where I was basically just playing Minecraft survival games. On this channel though, back in late 2014, which is literally when I got into anime, I think one of the interesting things for me about how I started is that I started so immediately, because I had always sort of been interested in doing reviews and critical analysis. Like that was always my favorite part of school, was being able to, write that book review or like analysis of the themes in X play or whatever. And like I had even on my blog, I think I might have some reviews that predate my first actual video ones. Like I know for a fact I had written some reviews like without even, at least one, without even the like knowledge or intent of posting it anywhere, purely just for fun. So it was already something I was like interested in. And right around the time I got into anime, I can't really remember how, but basically I feel like it was purely on a whim, because I've always been someone who's really into animation. I've always been a big fan of pretty much everything animated, and so for a while I was watching almost entirely Western animation, and I had seen through everything you could think of at the time. I'd watched all of Futurama. I'd seen every episode of the Rugrats. I'd seen every episode of Hey Arnold. I'd seen like Invader Zim. What am I forgetting? I'm forgetting definitely stuff. Rocko's Modern World, The Critic. That's That's a one, not a more obscure one. I never finished Duckman, but I did start watching that. That's pretty good. Like I've seen a lot of that stuff because that was what I've always been most invested in is animated media. Um, and my sister had a phase a few years before I got interested in anime where she was really obsessed with Japanese culture and she was watching a lot of anime. She specifically, I recall, watching like Sailor Moon and Ouran High School Host Club and Lucky Star. So I had already been exposed to anime and like I had read manga in my library and I knew what it was. Like I had read like a bit of Dragon Ball, a little bit of Chobits. I'd read some volumes of some shonen manga that I'm forgetting the name of that's a little more obscure. Stuff like that. So I was pretty familiar, but I still leaned more towards like Western comics and Western animated media. However, one time on a whim, I started watching. I was like, I'm gonna watch some anime. I have no idea why this whim came to me, but I guess I was bored. And I looked up Toriko because I had heard of that before. It was a name I knew, and I watched a bit of it, and it was really boring. After I watched like a couple episodes, so I gave up. And then I watched One Piece, which I liked a lot more than Toriko. And I watched a good like 60 episodes, I think. And it was while I was watching One Piece that a friend of mine sent me a message, and he was like, bro, you have to check out this show called Log Horizon. This was back when it was still airing. I think there was like 18 episodes out when it came out. And I went and watched it and loved it. I was immediately, I was like, this is completely different from what my perception of anime is like, because what I knew of it was mostly shonen, and like a little bit of shoujo stuff. But I guess there wasn't really this perception of anime as a more modern entity, like something that's coming out and it's like small, it's like short. Like this was like a 24 episode series that came out and was like new and completely different from the ideas I'd seen in any of the other stuff I'd had presented to me. It felt completely different, and I loved it. And so immediately I basically fell head over heels into anime, and I was watching a lot of it, and I pretty much also immediately got right into anime YouTube. I think one of the first people I started watching, I was watching like Arcada, Giga Glass. I already said Arcada. Apologies for the dog barking. I have no idea why he's doing that. But yeah, Arcada, Giga, Digi are the ones that come to mind. And I already, like, I was watching a lot of these people who don't really make videos anymore. I remember watching Baka Shift or Ocelot. Who else is out there that doesn't make videos anymore? But yeah, so I was pretty into that side, and that, so I was both like watching a lot of Anitube and consuming a lot of anime. I was basically watching through, and this is one of the things that I think is kind of interesting, because when I got right into it, I basically just watched whatever random thing on Crunchyroll that seemed interesting. And then as I was progressively getting it more into Anitube, like, I guess I started to venture more into the stuff that was like well known, but it was always sort of a mix. So it's like there's a lot of, I guess, what you might call quintessential series that like just weren't part of my development. Like I've never seen Naruto, I've never seen Dragon Ball, those things just, or I've never seen Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. Those things just weren't a part of my experience. So the way I like relate to other anime fans is pretty drastically different because of my sort of different introduction to it. Like I did have that experience with One Piece, but still it was not like I, binged through every episode of One Piece. No, I watched like 60 episodes. That's like what, 5% of the show. It's not that much. And then, so when I was making videos, I was making AMVs because I like AMVs. And then I started doing reviews. And obviously I was not very intelligent because I titled my videos Core Reviews, show title. And while some of these actually have built up views over time, like my Makaku City Actors review, which was my very first, has 4,000 views. My Nozaki-kun review has 1,000. The Haruhi review has 1,000 as well. When I first put them out, they had pretty much nothing in the way of views or engagement or likes. I was lucky if there was like one comment. That was like a good day. And I was also like, this was also a period where I was really active on our anime too. And even though I was like trying to share my videos there, they weren't getting any traction because, I mean, they're not titled in a way that would be engaging. And also, like, my delivery was really awkward because, you know, I was awkward. I feel like even now, I do struggle with delivery more so than other elements. But back in the day, like, I just had no like sense of confidence. So, and it really comes across that way. Like, it's just kind of hard to listen to personally. If I go back to some of those old videos. I was doing the reviews for a while. And for there were periods where I sort of like was more into it than others. When I in the period I'd say of basically like 2014 through I guess 2017-ish, it was not really a consistent, like, I would upload, but, like, it was always a whim thing. Like, I did the reviews as, like, a fun afternoon. Like, it wasn't really a, like, I never really thought of it, I guess, in the context of it being super acclaimed or viewed or, you know, getting super shared or anything. I had no real concept of, like, a community or anything like that. Though I watched these other channels, I never really thought about like ever the even distant possibility of reaching out to any of these people and like actually like, you know, befriending them or anything like that. That was like a completely foreign concept to me. I would just, you know, I'd boot up my Sony Vegas 13, I'd drop in the anime footage and I'd just have some fun editing. And funnily enough, I feel like this early period of my channel was sort of had more effort in the editing than the midpoint, because I spent a little more time on my videos because there was no sense of like this needs to come out or like I really care about getting it out right away. It was just like I'd spend some time on it here and there, like my AMVs too, like I'd work on it for, you know, a few hours or whatever, and then I put it aside. There wasn't any sense of like I really want to get a video out soon that I kind of feel more so now. And so there's like a lot more care taken into like the music selection. I feel like it's more like I was trying to be more engrossing, I guess. But setting that aside, I kind of moved on from reviews. It took me a while. It took me like 2 years. And you can kind of see looking at my thing. Like I was doing the reviews for a while, and then after I put out my Plastic Memories AMV, I kind of just like I was kind of tired. Like I hadn't gotten any recognition. Nobody was watching me basically. Almost nothing in the way of views or recognition or anything. Like my Alnoa Zero AMV did good, but like that's not really the same thing. Like, it wasn't really giving me traction or anything. So, like, some of the videos, like, an Only Yesterday video I put out literally was just an essay for school. And I was like, well, this can also be a video. Like, I wrote it with that intent that I was like, oh, I could make this a video since I haven't uploaded in a long time. And that has, like, no effort put into editing. And I did, like, a short video on Tanaka-kun, also pretty low effort, girlish number video. And then right at the 2 years ago point, I put out a video called Usagi Drop a Love Letter to Parenthood, which was a fairly short video, and it also was not a new video. So I had written this back when I was, still doing my more like reviews type content. And I think I think I had posted it to Reddit, because this was also in a phase when I was doing these reviews. I had tried sharing the video itself on Reddit, but no one cared. So I just started posting them as like a watch this, which is like a recommendation thread type thing. Not really a thread, but a post. It's basically like a tag for a recommendation post. And so I would just take the script, copy paste, and then at the end I would link to the video. No one followed the link, obviously, but those got more upvotes. Those would get like 50 to 100 upvotes usually, sometimes less. Because I feel like even then my writing wasn't terrible. It wasn't good, but it was tolerable. But the video aspect, you really need something more, especially if you're trying to get people on Reddit who are notoriously picky in very specific ways. So I had took the Usagi drop video, and I guess I had sort of picked up on Digibro's formula of like the quintessential Anitube formula, which is show title dash main point, or main point dash show title, depending on how popular the show is. And so I basically just recorded the script I had, edited it together pretty quick, and I was like this was basically a Hail Mary, because I'd kind of just given up on Anitube making anime videos, because I was so there was just no recognition, no one cared, and I was losing interest. I don't even think I had watched much anime recently at the time that I made that video. It was like an old script, and I just happened to feel like recording it on a whim. But I did it. I posted to Reddit. It got 100 upvotes. I think it had maybe 1,000 views in the first day or something like that, first few days, which was insane for me at the time. I was blown away. Everybody in the on the Reddit comments and the video comments were really positive, and everybody was sort of relating, because it's a show people like. And that was really what sort of motivated me to get back into it, to try to make more videos. That was sort of what gave me the desire at all. And then I had this series I was trying out called The Best Girl, where I was just doing sort of podcasty rambles about characters I like. It's a good idea in theory, I think, but ultimately I don't really like any of these that I did. I think they're all pretty hard to listen to. Granted, they have, decent view counts just because it's the character's name and they're clearly in the thumbnail. So if you look up said character, this video will probably come up. But yeah, they exist. They're things that I made, I suppose. But they are important for another reason I'll get back to. And so then after the Usagi drop video, which was already pretty reaffirming, I made my analyzing the music of Sangatsu no Lion video, which again was a video people engaged with. They thought I was presenting interesting ideas, and there was a good dialogue in the comments, and Pause and Select, or Joe, even shared it in his video, which I wasn't expecting, because he had posted on Twitter I think it was something in the vein of share a video with me if you want to get my thoughts on it, or something like that. I was like, I know this is my own video, but would you mind giving me some feedback? And I think I had linked him my Dango Kazoku vid, because this was a little later. And then he never got back to me, and I was just happened to be watching one of his videos. It was his Tankatsu DJ Agitaro video, and in the end of it, he linked to my Sangatsu no Lion video, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Obviously, that video didn't perform insanely well, and so not a whole lot of people came over, but I think I gained maybe 15 subscribers, which at the time for me was pretty cool. And again, it was kind of reaffirming, it gave me a boost of confidence and desire to keep on doing this, getting that, little push from a channel that I really like admired and respected. And so around this phase, I was kind of pretty much wholeheartedly back into it. I was into the seasonals, and I was just watching anime pretty regularly, and I was pretty invested and passionate and having a good time just making my videos. I was still sort of doing a similar type of thing, but I was really into it. And I made the Best Girl video. I'm trying to remember which one sparked it, but to one of them, Shabes or Caribou Kun, not Khan, responded to, and he was basically saying like this series is a good idea. It's something I wanted to do myself, and I was like, you know what? Why not, try and get him on as a guest? That'd be cool. I like this dude's videos. So I proposed and he accepted, and it ended up happening. And I think that might have been my first Anitube collab ever that I'd done. It's not necessarily that I was totally new to YouTube collabs in that sense, because on my Minecraft channel, I had run a server, and it had a bunch of small Minecraft YouTubers on it, and we sort of all talked through Skype and stuff, and it was a good one. But this was my first time. This was my first step, I guess. I was already sort of walking into it because I started I made a Twitter account and started following these people and stuff. But it was really my first sort of real venture into that spectrum, I suppose. And I also made my Yona is the perfect character video after I had started rewatching Yona on a whim. And I liked it a lot. I watched the first half of the show, and I was like, this is great demonstration of the character's thematic development. Made a video, and while this video didn't perform incredibly well, YouTube randomly 6 months after I posted it decided to recommend it to a bunch of people. Now it's one of my most viewed videos. I really have mixed feelings about that, because it is the audio sounds really weird, because I didn't really know what to do to make my audio sound good. I didn't really understand what made audio sound good. Now I know better. I'm more smart about it. Really, if I had just sat close to my microphone, talked into it, fairly close distance. At the time, I think I either had a Snowball or a Yeti. At some point, I had a Snowball pretty much my entire YouTubing. At some point, I upgraded a Yeti, and then I upgraded to the Rode NT1, which is what I have right now. And I put a weird bass boost filter because I thought it might make it sound better. It doesn't. It sounds really weird and bad. That's my biggest regret. I hate it. I hate it. Delete. But right, I was in the seasonal anime sort of spectrum. I did a video on Kato. That was right around when it was coming to its conclusion. Tsukigakure, Sakura Quest. I did 2 videos on, actually. One unscripted Hanasaki Yoroha video that I'm still pretty proud of. And so this was right around the period that I'd say I'd say the Saki drop period is the defining point from when my content went from pretty much not worth looking at to maybe worth looking at. I still would stand by most of these videos to some extent or another. And this was also when I felt I was growing at a rate, maybe not a fast rate, but there was some regularity to the feedback and response that I was receiving, and I had some videos perform pretty well. I think the biggest back-to-back success would be my Hoseki no Kuni videos, followed by Girls Last Tour and Made in Abyss. I just so happened to watch these 3 shows, loved them, and make videos on them, and all 3 of them ended up being fairly popular to one extent or another. Hoseki no Kuni video was I posted that video to Reddit, and it blew up on Reddit. It was literally the top of our anime. like had 600 upvotes or something like that. It was kind of insane. Which is actually one of my biggest, like, I don't know if it's like a bad thing, but like a big part of my audience has come from Reddit. Like sharing my videos on Reddit was like my main way that I got any views at all. And I still feel like it's a big factor in whether or not any of my videos get any views. If they perform well on Reddit or not, which is not a great thing, but just kind of how it is. I don't know how else I'm supposed to share my videos so people see them. But yeah, so I guess that's sort of this period. I was doing videos. Then there was a bit of a larger gap. It's kind of hard to see because, like, obviously it doesn't show you the months, which would be nice. But like I was still doing videos here and there, but I wasn't posting them quite as frequently. And then I joined a particular Discord server right around the time, shortly before I made the Hisonia Masutan video. And that was sort of like the second spark. So that's where I met a lot of channels. I met Hiding and I met Urban and, or rather, like, got to know Urban. I had met him before because this is when I started my Natsukashi podcast, which was where I was sort of engaging more with other Anitubers, and the Anime no Yumi Discord, which was a Discord for a podcast that was supposed to be like a Potaku follow-up that never took off, and that's where I met, like, most notably, I guess I'd say Man Mode, and some other people, and so it was through those and I had, like, interacted with Kami, and so, like, I had brought these people onto my podcast, which was where I got to talk mostly with Shaves, because he was like the most passionate about the project, I think, like, because he's into old anime, so he's kind of down. He's always down. But yeah, I had some other people on too, and that was a really cool experience. And it was sort of through that I ended up on the Anituber Discord, and seeing people who were, like, really motivated and passionate, and really trying was, like, really motivated me. I was like, oh, wow, like, people are, like, actually, like, making an effort in this, and not just, like, whenever they just happen to feel like making a video on a random whim. And so that was, like, when I decided, let's try putting some more effort into it. And so for a while I was uploading weekly-ish videos, basically from that period of, I guess it was like the Hosone to Masutan video through, I guess I would say up through the childhood friend, maybe even after that. I was uploading, like, a video, like, once every week or 2 weeks, basically until I did Komovich, I'd say. Like, there were areas where there were larger gaps. Like, I know the Liz and the Bluebird video took longer. The Tokyo Magnitude video took at least 2 weeks, because that was, like, a 35-minute video. But, this was, like, my arc where I was, like, I feel like I was making videos that were much more interesting, and even though they were being put out faster, like, I was putting more thought into them in a different way. Like, I was experimenting more and doing more interesting things, because I am someone who tends to draw a lot of influence from the people I am around. Like, I gravitate towards creative individuals, and I tend to, like, I'm the person who will, like, not have the idea, but be the one to make the idea happen, if that makes sense. Like, someone else will say this on a whim, and I'll be like, let's make it real. Because that's just how my personality. I sort of, like, latch on to other people's creative energy and, like, keep it going. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, so that's, like, the way I work. I feel like I'm not as good at, like, just being motivated purely, like, on my own. I'm not as good at being self-critical if I'm just by myself, but when I see other people's works and I'm interacting with other people's works, other people and their work, it motivates me more to do more. And so, like, around this period, there had been a thing. It was like the 12 Days of Anime. And this was like a thing Zeri was trying to do, supposedly to merge together the Ani-blogging and Anitube community because they would both do it. I don't think it did that at all, and I think the idea that it would have done that is kind of absurd if you think about it at all. Like, I don't understand how that was supposed to help anyone, because you don't actually have to interact with the Anitube or Ani-blogging sphere to participate. You just have to make content. Like, it was weird. And I had been planning to do that, actually. I had written a couple scripts, and I was trying to, I think originally my plan was that it would be 12 music, like, focused videos. Like, I think I had written my Angel's Egg video, my soundtrack video, my Planet soundtrack video, at least one or two others. I think maybe the What Makes an Anime Soundtrack Good video, or maybe the Your Lie in April video. Basically all, like, music focused videos. And I was going to do that for my 12 days, but honestly, like, after I spend so much time writing music analysis, I just get sick of it. Like, this is why, like, people, I feel like when I first started gaining traction, because of my, like, Sangatsu no Line music analysis and some other videos in that vein, like, people kind of wanted me to be the music guy. And I feel like for a while I was kind of the music guy just because there were so few people doing music analysis at all in Anitube. But, like, it's just not, like, my 100% passion. Like, I can't spend every video doing music analysis because I just get tired of it. I want to talk about the aesthetics and the narrative and the characters and other things too. So I kind of got sick of doing that after I'd written 4 videos or so. And so I was, like, mulling around what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to do it or not. And then it was kind of a mix of, like, me thinking on and talking to, like, Mad Mode. And I was like, you know what? This is basically just, like, you know, it's just a crappier version of a Mia Mafova with less ability to get traction because everybody's doing it at once. Like, so you're not the only one popping up in people's subfeed every day for that 2-week period. It's, like, a bunch of other people, too. So it's not even like you get that advantage. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a Mia Mafova. And I did a Mia Mafova, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I think I'm pretty satisfied with how it turned out. I think I put out some good videos. I think I put out some interesting videos. It was an important part of my development as a creator, and sort of defined a sort of shift in my, like, content arc. And doing that month was, like, it was hard. Granted, I did prepare quite a few videos in advance, but you have to keep in mind that this was back when I was in college before I dropped out. I was doing this. So I had prepared the videos with the idea in mind because when I was doing the weekly video period, that was during the summer. So I had much more time. I wasn't so busy. And then when Komovich was starting, it was in January. So literally I remember I had mapped it out, like, my school semester started, like, halfway through the month. So I was like, well, I better prepare some stuff because otherwise I'm not gonna finish this. I'm gonna die. So I did that, worked hard on that, made it happen. It was good. And the whole point of that was that I had kind of grown tired of creating, like, weekly videos. I'd felt like I'd sort of exhausted, like, what I could do with that. Like, I felt like I'd done it all. I tried. I'd done this type of regular, like, analysis content, and I hadn't found success. Like, I hadn't really grown all that much. And I was like, well, I'm just going to get everything out there. This is one last shot at, like, getting popular or, like, getting anything. And I did it. And a couple people cared. Again, not very successful series, but I'm pretty happy with how, like, what I did, what I accomplished. And while it took a couple months, like I did a couple shorter videos, like the Digibro video. It's not that deep. We're both kind of spur of the moment type things that I edited, wrote, recorded, and edited in the span of a day. My Wenosen Monaria Friends and Kemuri Kusa videos were all like just shorter videos on seasonal anime that I just happened to watch and enjoy and had some thoughts on. Very, like, just sort of straightforward anime analysis, like, content, like, just the obvious stuff, I guess. Like, not bad videos, but not what I was talking about making in, like, the finale of Komovich, where I'm talking about, like, this contrast between me wanting to do more artful content and my desire for success. And part of this was just sort of to busy myself because I started working on the Meta Insanity No One Watched, which is like my defining video of the like core puts an effort arc, I guess, which is what's currently ongoing. I sunk like my heart and soul into that video, spent a lot of time. Looking back on it, I think there's some flaws. I think it's a little bloated. I feel like the introduction, not the introduction, but like the recap section could have been shorter, which hurts it. But looking back through it, like there's a lot of effort put into that video. I spent a lot of time trying to make literally every like moment visually interesting in some way. There's always some sort of visual gag or like nod or weird edit or something like that. I was really trying, and I think like it's definitely one of my best videos. I'd probably put it like in the number 2 spot because I have like the most interesting things to say that I've like ever had to say in that video. Like I think Anime Guitarist is a fascinating show on like both looking at it from the perspective of it as an artwork and then it in the context of like anime and meta and everything. Like it's really interesting what it says about itself and what it says about the community, and it's just such a fascinating thing. And I feel like I was able to encapsulate almost everything I had to say and almost everything I thought that it was trying to say into my video. Which like I think the conclusion is like definitely the strongest and really like 10 out of 10 section of the video, just because of the ideas I'm presenting. And I did that video. That was a fun one, but it kind of I had to take a break after that. But that was also the period a little before that where I got into editing for people, and that's sort of a big shift in me too, because I started editing for Nextaku while I was still in school. But like it was going well. Like I was editing for him, and like I was making real money, and I was like, well, I'm not really passionate about college and I'm not performing very well. I was kind of just doing it because I didn't know what to do, and I knew I wanted to do something creative because I was in college for music performance on viola. And I just like I wanted to do something creative, I knew, but I didn't know what, and I was just sort of like going through the motions. And granted, I feel like if I had gone to school for composition, I think I would have completed, because I'm much more I've realized like my interest is more in creating things than realizing things. Like the realizing act isn't as much fun. So it's like that going to school for performance is like you're playing music written by other people, and that's not as satisfying to me because you're just spending all your time. It's much more like a sport, essentially, I would say, being a master of a musical instrument. Like it's more akin to a sport. Like you're doing exercises, and it's very mechanical in a way. It wasn't creatively stimulating the way that I wanted. Compared to doing something like composition, I'm much more passionate about it. There's more freedom and exploration and introspection going on. It's much more interesting to me personally and more satisfying. Like it's something I want to do for long periods of time. But I was already like 2 years in, and I was like, I don't really want to change my degree because I felt like it would just be too much of a hassle and too difficult, and I had already spent money on this school. I didn't want to spend any more. So I was like, well, I'm just going to pursue editing full time. And so that's what I did. I took like a week off to finish off the last bits of Meta Insanity, but that's what I've been doing basically since then. Granted, I'm still living with my parents, but I'm well on my way to being able to move out, which is exciting. And it's pretty awesome that like it was literally because like my friend Jack his boy, like he edited for Nux, and he was like he was mentioning doing it. I think he had said like, oh, I need to give this video to someone else or something like that. I forget what he was saying, like, or he was talking to somebody else about editing for Nux, and I was like, you know what, I want to edit for Nux. I want to try that. I want to try editing for someone else. That'd be cool for money. That would be really cool. And so like I really am grateful to like both that Jack and Nux. Jack for like putting me in contact with them, but like Nux for giving me a chance, even though like I'd never done anything like that before, ever. Like I'd done my videos editing, but that's just not completely different. And he gave me this chance and kept giving me work, and like we've been working together now for, you know, almost half a year. And that's, or actually more, I guess. I'm trying to remember when I edited my first video for him was. I can't even remember. So yeah. So I was doing that, and so basically through doing Anitube, I found my profession, or at least my current profession, and it's one that I think is like kind of perfect for me because like it doesn't require a lot of interacting with people, which I find bothersome. It doesn't require a lot of travel or like expenses on the front of like, you know, you need to buy gas or you need to buy whatever equipment or whatever X and Y. It's pretty straightforward. Like I need my computer and my editing software, and that's about it. Like it's total freedom of schedule, and like though I do have to work a lot sometimes, it varies up and down. It does give me long periods where I can just totally like work on my own creative projects, and it's given me a lot more freedom to work on my own stuff and put in a lot of effort and spend a lot of time on it and really work on what I'm like passionate about, which I think is like awesome. It makes me really happy. And so after the Meta Insanity video, like I took a little break, but I've sort of come back in a more regular fashion where I feel like I've sort of settled into a nice rate of like about one video a month, approximately. Like it's not like I'm always working on the video for the entire month. Most of the times I'm not, but it gives me a nice like lull where I can work on like my music and my art, and then like I get an idea and I start chipping away at it bit by bit, spend time on it, and then I post, you know, the video. And it's allowed me to do like the 1989 spring and summer, you know, it's one of the coolest projects that I've, you know, ever had the pleasure of, you know, creating and having other people on. And my Ghibli and the Meaning of Life video, which is really part 2 of a 2-parter, but I think it works as a standalone. I would say is probably the best video I've ever made, like just in general. Like it speaks, like it's the only video of mine that I like regularly revisit, like rewatch, maybe not in its entirety, but little portions of, like, compared to my older videos, I never rewatched them because like their point was just to express a point, like express an idea. Like I got something interesting from a show, here you go. Here was the interesting thing. So once you've seen it, like why would you watch it again? You got the idea. But like now my newer content, I feel like I'm doing more to make it an experience, like that expresses it not just like the idea, but the like feeling of the idea. And I feel like the Ghibli video is my best like display of that to date. and like one of my most like creatively interesting videos from a writing and editing perspective, even though like I edited it in a relatively short span of time compared to my other videos. It has some of the most like like over the board kind of editing that I've done, or I guess maybe not editing. I don't know if you consider like having a short animated segment editing, but stuff like that, where it's just all over the place, and something I want to do more of, definitely. Though that type of video is not something, I can just make. That video in particular took a really long time to write. I wrote that over months and months. Like, I started writing it back when I was still in school. I think I make a reference to it being May in the video when I'm talking about one section, and I specifically reference when I was writing it. So, yeah. I don't know why I made this video. I just felt like I wanted to talk into a microphone, because I haven't done it in so long. I don't even know if this was entertaining at all for anyone, but hopefully it was good enough to put on in the background while you did something else. But yeah, I've been on Anitube 5 years. Granted, I would have liked a better rate of sub gain, considering I'm sitting here at 2.7k. It's like a struggle to pull in 300 views in the first week of uploading a video sometimes. And I've always sort of felt that problem of like whether getting my audience to watch my content, or like whether or not my audience is even like I have much of an audience. But I'm satisfied with what I'm making. I'm happy. Sure, I'd like to, keep going up, keep making more. I'll be straight up. I do want to be able to create full time. Like, I know some people don't want to do that and don't think they could, but like I feel like I could do that if being able to spend 10 hours a day just working on my own creations would be incredible, and I would love it. Work is, at the end of the day, work. I like it more than most work, but it is still work, and I know creation would become work, but it's work that I feel is meaningful to me, being able to realize my own visions, of which I have many, many, many. So, that's still a goal. That's still an idea that I aspire towards, but it's not so much in the sense that I'm like desperate for it to happen, or that I necessarily expect it to happen. I'm at least happy that I've reached a state where I can continue working on my own projects, and stay relatively financially stable for now. But obviously, if I could allocate more time to it, that would be incredible. But I'm just going to keep on making things, and hope it performs. I've got some exciting ideas planned for 2020, that hopefully will be real and be interesting, be exciting. I know I want to make some videos. I want to make some stuff that's not videos, a lot of stuff that's not videos, different forms of art. And yeah, so that's that. Thanks for listening. And I guess I'll catch you in the next one.